I'm 81 years old. I'll be 82 in the spring if my heart keeps doing what it's been doing. I've been thinking a lot lately about the things I bought and the things I thought would matter more than they did. I'm not telling this to feel better about myself. That part of my life is mostly settled now. I'm telling it because time has a way of stripping excuses away, and what's left is the truth. When you don't have much future left, you stop lying to yourself about the past. I sit in a quiet house most mornings. The clock still ticks, even though there's no one rushing anywhere anymore. I make coffee out of habit, not need. And when I look around, I see objects that once felt important. Some of them cost more than my first car. Some of them were bought with money I didn't really have. Almost all of them are just here now, waiting to be dusted, waiting to be sold, waiting to outlive me. When people talk about regret, they usually think of mistakes, bad choices, big failures. But the truth is, most of my regret came from choices that felt sensible at the time, responsible even. That's what makes it harder to swallow. In my 20s, I was hungry for stability. I grew up without much, and that sticks to you. You don't forget what it feels like to want something simple and not be able to afford it. A decent coat, a quiet room, a refrigerator that isn't empty. So when I started working, I promised myself I'd never go back to that feeling. I got a steady job, nothing glamorous. It paid the bills. And when I started earning a little more, I bought things that made me feel like I was doing life correctly. A nicer car than I needed. New furniture, even though the old stuff still worked. A television big enough to impress guests who never stayed very long. Each purchase felt like a small victory. Proof that I was moving forward, proof that I was responsible. I didn't think of it as chasing status. I thought of it as building a life. When my wife and I bought our first house, it was bigger than we needed. Everyone said that was smart. You'll grow into it, they told us, and we believed them. More rooms meant success. More space meant we were doing well. What it really meant was more debt, more maintenance, and more hours spent working to keep it all from slipping away. I remember weekends spent fixing things instead of resting, painting rooms that didn't need paint yet, mowing lawns I barely walked on. I told myself I was providing. I told myself this was what a good husband did. My wife never complained. That's something that still sits heavy with me. She adjusted her life around mine. She waited. She made do. I bought tools I used twice, kitchen gadgets that gathered dust, a second car we barely drove. Each purchase seemed small on its own. Just another payment, just another upgrade. But time doesn't measure things the way money does. I missed dinners because I was tired, missed conversations because my mind was elsewhere, missed moments because I assumed they would come back around again. They didn't. In my 40s, I started buying for comfort instead of necessity. Recliners, electronics, little luxuries meant to make the long days easier. I told myself I'd earned them. What I didn't realize was that I was buying quiet, buying distraction, buying ways to stay busy without being present. There were evenings when my wife wanted to talk, and I turned on the television instead. Not because I didn't love her, because I was exhausted, because I thought tomorrow would be better, because I thought there was time. I bought expensive gifts to make up for my absence, jewelry instead of attention, trips we were too tired to enjoy properly. I thought generosity could replace presence. It can't. The slow cost of those purchases didn't show up on bank statements. It showed up in small silences, in routines that grew separate, in conversations that became practical instead of personal. Our children noticed it before we did. They learned to entertain themselves, learned not to interrupt, learned that dad was always busy, even when he was home. I bought them things too, toys, gadgets, consoles. I told myself it was love. I see now it was often guilt. Years passed like that, quietly, efficiently, reasonably. Then my wife got sick. Nothing dramatic at first, just tiredness, a cough that didn't go away, appointments that started piling up, waiting rooms with old magazines and bad coffee. I remember sitting in the car one afternoon after a doctor's visit, looking at the dashboard of a car I'd once been proud of, leather seats, smooth ride, and feeling something hollow open up inside me. All those years of buying comfort, and none of it could buy time. She passed away 3 years later, slowly, with dignity, with more patience than I deserved. After the funeral, the house felt enormous. Every room echoed. Every object reminded me of something I thought mattered. I started going through things. Closets first, then drawers, then the garage, boxes of stuff I forgot I owned. Expensive things I never truly used. Receipts tucked into manuals for appliances that no longer worked. I realized how much of my life I'd spent acquiring things instead of experiencing it. Some people regret buying boats, or fancy cars, or vacation homes. I had friends like that. They used to joke about it. My regret was quieter. I regret buying the lie that I could always slow down later. I regret buying things to impress people who don't remember me now. I regret buying bigger when simpler would have left room for breath. I regret buying my way out of discomfort instead of sitting through it with the people I loved. The turning point wasn't just my wife's death. It was what came after, the days when no one called, the nights when silence felt heavier than noise ever had. You learn quickly what actually matters when you're the only one left in the room. I sold most of it. The house, the extra car, the furniture. It went easier than I expected. Things always do when you're ready to let go. What didn't go was the knowledge that I'd traded years of closeness for a sense of security that didn't last. There are things you can't fix once you see them clearly. You can't go back and attend the dinners you skipped. You can't unbuy the years you spent distracted. You can't trade possessions for conversations that never happened. Time doesn't refund unused moments. Now, when I sit with my coffee in the morning, I don't look at what I own. I look at what's left. A few photos, a couple of chairs by the window, a radio that still works if you tap it just right. I think about how little a person actually needs. If you're listening to this and you're younger, I'm not telling you what to do. I don't have that kind of authority over anyone's life. I'm just telling you what it felt like from where I'm sitting now. At the time, every purchase made sense. Every upgrade felt earned. Every delay felt temporary. That's the dangerous part. Regret doesn't announce itself. It waits. It waits until the house is quiet. It waits until the work is done. It waits until there's no one left to share the things you worked so hard to buy. If this meant something to you, if it stirred something uncomfortable or familiar, you're not wrong to feel that. I felt it too. Just later than I would have liked. I don't have much time left. I know that. I don't say it dramatically. It's just the truth. What time I do have, I spend lightly now. I don't buy much. I don't rush. I sit when I want to sit. I call people when I think of them. I've learned that the quiet moments are the ones that stay with you. Everything else eventually ends up in a box. And that's all I wanted to say.